There we go.
Got some echoing. There we go. Thank you. So a digital drop-off is the tool that we use to initiate the process of gathering all the documents remotely using MyBlock so that the tax pro can start working on the return. Okay, so digital drop-off. And here, I'm going to go a little bit deeper. Where do we access digital drop-off? How do we get to digital drop-off, to initiate a digital drop-off? Anyone?
Both in MyBlock for the clients especially, and the Work Center.
Bam, you got it. Work Center, and I guess a client could also initiate, but definitely in Work Center, that is absolutely the place where everything kind of happens. It's that Work Center is the dashboard in front of you in the office where you would initiate a digital drop-off. Excellent. So what is another tool that we have for virtual returns or digital solutions? We got MyBlock, we got digital drop-off. What's a third one?
The website. Our H&R Block website.
Nope.
No.
Good guess.
Video.
Good guess. Video. I don't know who that was. It may have been Julia. Your little.
Julia.
Yeah, JS was lighting up. Video. So who wants to tell me a little bit about video?
I can, since I brought it up. It's a way to video chat with a tax pro without going into the office. If you have questions about your return, if they need to chat through anything with a client, there are 2, I think, workstations in each office where you can set up video appointments to kind of do a virtual one-on-one with the tax pro.
There you go. Pretty simple, right? It's really not more confusing than that. What do you think some of the hangups a tax pro who's never, these are new monitors to us, what do you think some of the hangups or concerns or challenges they're going to have with using this video chat that's now available?
Maybe just it's new technology, and sometimes that can be challenging and difficult for some people.
Yeah, absolutely. They've never done it. They've never done it at H&R Block. Chances are they've done it like we're doing right now with their friends, their family, but at H&R Block, they haven't done it. So they're going to start really, you're going to have to start teaching them, hey, this is how we do it. The client, you're going to access it through Work Center. The client will access it through MyBlock. But boy, until we do it once or twice, it's going to be a little bit challenging, right? So we talk about this change curve, right? Change curve looks like this. And, everyone's moving along, they're comfortable, and then change comes, boom, and they start heading down the hill, like a roller coaster, and you lose your stomach and you're scared and, oh my gosh, what's going on? And you hit the bottom of the hill and like gravity kicks in and you're getting pressed into the bottom of the seat. And then you start to come up on the other side, you're getting more comfortable. And then before you know it, things level out and you're like, hey, that wasn't so bad after all. So really, this is going to be a big change for our tax pros, but one they asked for last year, and they really wanted to be able to interact with their clients remotely and visually. So I think adoption of this change curve is going to be pretty smooth. Okay, what's the last digital tool we have in our tool belt?
The electronic signature, or I
Yep.
forget what it's called exactly, but you know what I mean, electronic signature
Yeah,
thing.
I know. I'm in a
Isn't that called the Approve Online?
Approve online, yeah.
Yes.
That's it.
That was Kayla, I think. Kayla, was that you?
Yes, that was.
Awesome. So approve online. Who wants to tell me? This one's a little bit deeper. Who wants to tell me a little bit about approve online? It's all right. It's scary, right? Approve online. Okay, I'm gonna throw the life preserver out. One of the MTLs. You want to give us a quick high-level overview of what approve online is?
Sure. So Approve Online is the way they sign the tax return at the end when everything is complete and it's all good to go. Normally, you have to have a wet signature or signed in office, but with the digital landscape, we are giving them an option to electronically sign. We put this in at the end of the return, so it's just some way to sign remote.
Yeah, it's really no more confusing than that, what Chuck said. Clients, before we can, I'm going to start going tax with you, before we can e-file a return or complete a return and send it to the IRS, we have to make sure we have signatures on that return. It can be a wet signature, as Chuck said, a hard copied signature, or it can be an electronic signature that we can take. Now, if you're married filing jointly, a couple comes in, and say the wife comes in, she brings in all the documents, sits down with the tax pro, completes the return, signs off on it. Oh my gosh, we can't send it until the spouse signs as well. And that's always been a little bit of a challenge because you got to get that second person to come in. Now we can do approve online where we can send the documents over to the client for them to review, and then they approve it and they sign it, and boom, they pay for it at home. It's all done. Approve online. You remember in the training, they were talking about 0.8% of our returns pre-March 15th, pre-COVID, were done via approve online. From March 15th through, I'll say April 15th through July 15th, that time frame, the company jumped up to 10% approve online. We jumped up to closer to 20% approve online. And you know what we learned is some tax pros are very comfortable with this technology, and they used it from the beginning. They're like, I don't want to be in contact with any client, so I'm going to use this approve online for my own safety and my client's safety. And they were off to the races. They were, sending out approve onlines. March 16th came, boom. And we were tracking those results. We were looking at the data down to the office level, down to the tax pro level. Why would we do that? Why would we look at data to understand? Well, I'm going to give you an answer if I say, why would we look at the data around approve online? Why is that important?
We have the goal of going 20% any transaction in the next year, or in TS 21. We have a goal of 20% using some kind of virtual tool, and that keeps track of it.
Jen, I'm learning about how you're hardwired. You're hardwired to hit the goal, right? The goal is 20%. I got to hit it. I want to know where I stand. I want to keep score, right?
Well, it also helps with customer service, like making the client happy, making sure that they understand that they don't have to come in. But it makes it helps us to understand how many people are using it, along with the customer surveys to understand how they enjoy that or how much they appreciate that as part of our customer service.
Okay, man, you're peeling that onion right back. So we're now looking at Block Experience, offering these tools right to our clients so that they have the best experience. What's the last piece? Think of you guys as leaders. Why would it be important to know which one of your tax pros is using the tool and not using the tool?
It helps us to know who to support and who to coach a little more in making them more comfortable with not only offering it, but also helping them to be able to use it on a regular basis.
Absolutely. You know, you are not in this alone. And this is the hardest part of leadership, right? You know that these 4 tools are important. You know that we want every tax pro to use them, right? This is the hardest part. Understanding who's using them and who's not using them, and then what we need to do to help support and coach, I love that, Jen, your tax pros so that they move along that change curve and they feel more comfortable using those tools. Your job as an MTL or an associate team leader is not to just sit back and answer the phone when the phone rings. It is to coach, develop, support, teach every member of your team, starting with yourself, on these tools, and then monitoring, are they using it? Are they embracing it? Sometimes when people are introduced to change, the first thing they do is put up the barrier, put up the wall, tell you everything that's wrong with the system and why it's the worst idea in the world, right? That's okay. That's part of the process. That's part of the change curve. The worst thing you can do in that situation is get angry with them, push back on them and tell them all the reasons why they're wrong. Your job as a leader is to help them understand why it's important first and foremost, and make sure they begin to get comfortable with it. So what training resources are available, and then demonstrating and role playing and observing and watching, getting them comfortable. You know, you guys have all been in leadership roles of some sort. So I show you, you show me. It's an incredibly important piece of the equation. I show you how to do it, you show me, and then you go and do it. They go and do it. Okay, so awesome. Well, I just wanted to go through those 4 virtual tools because that's the component that we are talking about today. So let's go over here, see if I got this pulled up right. I'm gonna back out because I just want to continue to get comfortable with the process of how we find our learnings, right? So we know we could probably access it up here in Block Academy by going to our curriculum and launching. We could also come down here into Inkling. Okay. So in order to find that training, your handbook, we learned yesterday, click on this tax office procedures and job aids. And you remember I started your journey. Okay, so here is the leadership. This is Ready to Lead handbook for all leaders, really. And I come down here. You remember week 3 is where we are. And I'm just rolling down here. You remember yesterday we did this. Virtual tools, standard operating procedures. This was a self-study that you did yesterday. The objectives, all of this. And then here we are on the experiential learning. Before I click on that and we move into it, I wanted to call out, you can go through the virtual training, any virtual training, self-study really quickly, right? You can just glance through it, you know, watch half the video, speed through it, move on to the next one, not click on all the job aids, probably get through it. Do you think that's really the best way to learn? No, of course not. So really important, one of the things as I was looking through the virtual tool standard operating procedure essentials, one of the things that I was really looking closely at was all of the job aids and all of the links and the different things that are included in the training. You have the surface level, and then you have that next level down, you know, the muscle and the meat of the training. Really, really important that as you're going through this, you're digging into those job aids, those additional links. And as you're training and you're teaching and you're learning yourself, be thinking about some of these tools and some of these things that you're looking at. You're like, this is going to be a very good tool to review with my team, right? Maybe it's a job aid on how to do a digital drop-off. Maybe that's something that you know is going to be so important, you want to pull that out from the training. You want to make a PDF copy. You want to say, you know, in week 1, I'm going to make sure I sit down and go through this with each of my tax pros to understand where they land on the change curve. So that was kind of some things that I noticed as I was going through the training. Okay, so let's jump over here to the experiential learning SOP role plays virtual tools. Okay, so at the end of this session, you'll be able to be a leader who recognizes meeting service goals and, when appropriate, coaches to improve performance through use of reporting. So we, right off the bat, we're talking about recognizing and reviewing reports, okay? Again, this job is not just sitting at the front desk. It's digging in and understanding who on your team needs help, where they stand, and how they're embracing the change. Now, are you in this alone? Absolutely not. You have your MTLs, and your MTLs will be doing the same exact thing with each of you that you're going to be doing with your tax pros to ensure they're ready. Promote genuine care and empathy on the phone and in person to retain and grow clients. This focus on service quality and genuine care, you're going to hear about it all season long. You know, we need to position ourselves and follow that motto, and we've all heard it, the customer's always right. Yeah, they're always right. Yes, sometimes they're misguided. Sometimes they're not necessarily expressing themselves real well, but our job is to show genuine care and be empathetic, show concern for them. And then invest in the long term by understanding how digital solutions impact our ability to serve clients today and in the future. So those are objectives. We know at this point about the chat and the raising the hand and the camera and all that stuff. Okay, so systems and reports activity, 15 minutes, analyzing data. And when we went around the horn in the beginning, I heard some people say, hey, I don't have access, it timed out, it did this, that. So we'll get to that. Your MTLs will sit down and make sure you have Teams access, make sure you have Power BI access. And if you don't, bubble it up to them and we'll make sure we get that for you. But understand, they're still developing a lot of this stuff and it will continue to roll out over the next month and a half. Okay, so we're talking about system and reports activity. Review the reports below and identify actions to take, including who to recognize and who to coach. So Power BI is the tool that we will use. It's a Microsoft tool. It's a reporting tool. And one of the things that we're, as a company, we're very focused on this year is reducing the number of reports that are available to all of us, myself included, so that we are focused on the most critical things that that we need to focus on, right? The most important elements of our business. So click the title of the image to download a PDF for easier view. So we're talking about Approve Online and the MyBlock report. So let's click on thumbs up. Okay, so there's the report blurred out. Okay, let me get back over here. You know what? I'm going to try to do a split screen. Let me challenge myself here. I pull it all the way over to the right and I let go. And you notice now I have this side of this screen. I can shrink it down. I can shrink this one down. Let's take that one over there. Didn't quite do what I wanted. Oh, I think I just made a gigantic note. Okay. So now we have our report opened up. Okay. So now you can kind of see the report and our instructions. So review the information on the MyBlock Approve Online report provided. We talked about MyBlock and Approve Online. Answer the analysis question. And let's discuss this as a group. So which tax pro presents the biggest opportunity and why? So let's look at just the setup of the report. You have the tax pro names down the left-hand side, the office names. What's TSD stand for? TSTD. TSTD. What's that stand for? Anyone? MTL?
Tax season to date.
You got it. Tax season to date. Approve Online returns. So this is just a listing here of how many Approve Online transactions the tax pro did. It then shows you the percentage of their returns. What percent of their returns were done as Approve Online. And then over here, tax season to date, MyBlock accounts created. So how many MyBlock accounts did the tax pro create? What percentage of their return? And then their total return count. Okay. Down here at the bottom, we have the district totals. Okay, so the question was, which tax pro presents the biggest opportunity and why? So what we're looking at is, are they using Approve Online and are they setting up MyBlock accounts? So what are some things you're going to look for? Giving you a hint here. Low percentage rates, right? A low percentage rate of using Approve Online. So which tax pro here has the lowest percentage rate? And this is a trick. We're trying to trick you here.
Marissa.
Well, yeah, Marissa. Is she your biggest concern, though?
No, it looks like maybe Margot.
Let me find Oh, Margot. Yeah. Why do you say that? Why Margot?
She's done 12 returns to date and has not used any of the virtual tools.
Okay. So kind of, if we go to someone, Margot and Marissa's used 27, done 27 returns, and she really hasn't done much use of the tool. So Margot and Marissa clearly have some opportunity, right? They haven't demonstrated to you, and Mary as well, they haven't demonstrated to you that they know how to use the tool, that they know how to do it. But now look at it on a flip side. Look at someone like, uh-oh, what happened to my screen? It changed over there. Look over here at some people that may have a high number of returns, but a mediocre number of transactions, right? What I'm trying to say here is you have people that don't do a lot of returns. Maybe they work a little bit and, they're not fully engaged. Yes, that person's really important. But what if you have what we call a high writer, someone who gets a lot of returns and they're only kind of dipping their toe in it. They're not they're kind of doing it from time to time, but they're not doing it 15 to 20% of the time. Because when you look at a report, you need to look at it from all angles. Do any of the MTLs want to kind of fill in and maybe make that a little bit clearer, what I'm trying to say there? Let me rephrase that. Can one of the MTLs bring a little more insight around how you analyze these numbers to make sure your team is engaged?
Hey,
Yeah,
Tom,
go ahead.
oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, the number, like you were saying, Tom, just where the percent of returns is the perfect number to look at as far as the indicator of, volume of returns versus using the virtual. And you can see Juanita has a 0.02, but she's doing maybe the most returns or the second most returns. So yeah, you just want to make sure that understanding why she may not be using Approve Online or the other virtual tools. Maybe she just has those clients that want to sit with her, but providing that option and making sure that she knows that it's available to her.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. John, you were going to add?
I was going to say the first thing we do when you start analyzing a report, make sure you appreciate the person that is doing really good and try to understand what they're doing to get so many returns on the Approve Online and to help others. Ask them to listen to the others and find out what they might help other tax pros in the office.
Absolutely. I love that. Looking at it, break this report down. Who's good at Approve Online here? Well, Tom, gosh, I love that. Tom happens to be really good. He's done 200 returns, almost 15% of his returns are Approve Online. 31. Mariah is really good at it, 16% with 72, but she does a lot more returns than Tom. So don't get just fooled by this number, the total number. Look at it in comparison to the percent. And then down here we have Martha at 24 returns. I think that says 18.9%. So I love that. Recognize who's doing it well. And, you know, once you recognize who's doing it well, those folks are what we call, potentially what we call influencers, right? They can influence the entire team. And then maybe you can sit down and talk to them and say, hey, what are you doing? How did you get so comfortable with it? Listen to their approach. And then once you kind of have gathered what they're doing really well and some of their best practices, share it with those team members that are not doing as well and maybe at a different point in the change curve. So I love that. Let's look at this. So is the office better at Approve Online, or are they better at MyBlock?
Approve Online.
Yeah, obviously. Look at that. 2,800, 9% of transactions Approve Online. 300 transactions, only 1% creating a MyBlock. So where are you going to place your energy? What are you going to focus on?
Trying to improve setting more MyBlock accounts at the desk.
Yeah. Does your team, you know, it's like one of the things that teams really like is when you call something out, right? And you say, hey, look, this week we're going to really focus on MyBlock. And, you know, right now, this is where we stand. And, you know, our goal is to be here. So set an expectation and a goal. And this week, what we're going to do is we're going to really focus with each of you on your training, your development around this, right? So first and foremost, I want to make sure, tax pros, that you understand the tools and the resources that are available to you. Let's have you take this badge training. Let's have you review this standard operating procedure or this training tool, whatever it may be. And then over the course of the week, you know, I want to see you do one. And then I want to, you know, see if we can get to this goal collectively as a group at the end of the week. That's really good leadership. That's leading the process. But if you come in and all you do is say, wow, we really suck at MyBlock, and let me see here. You know, some of you guys, Juanita, you know, you haven't done any, and, you know, Randy, forget about it. Martha, good God, what are you doing? You haven't even created an account, created a MyBlock account. What are you doing? Do you think your team is going to jump on board and be like, hey, let's rally around Martha and get MyBlock going? No, they're going to get together at the water cooler and be like, that guy, Tom, man, he's freaking crazy. What's he talking about? MyBlock, right? So how you lead this is really, really important. And that's what we're talking about down here. How will you coach your tax preparers to optimize capacity, right? So before we move on to the next report, you know, do any of the MTLs kind of want to talk a little bit about how you plan on making sure you're setting clear expectations around MyBlock and Approve Online this season? What are you're a month and a half out, how are you going to make sure that your team is focused on this and prepared? And by the way, guys, I'm really putting the MTLs on the spot because we didn't prepare for this. We're just kind of going through it. So what are your initial thoughts, guys?
I think, in my opinion, it would be make that reporting part of our weekly meetings, have the conversation around it to make sure that the communication it doesn't stop at the ATL level, but it also is delivered to the tax pros.
Okay, So Lenny is, I think that was Lenny there. Lenny's moving right into the reporting aspect and bringing it to life, you know, keeping it at the forefront. So communication, I love that. The daily communications. We'll talk more about huddles and things like that. But, you know, I always use the analogy of Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan, the best basketball player ever. And, you know, I know some of you may say Kobe or LeBron James, but really we all know Michael Jordan was the best basketball player in the history of the NBA. Am I right, Austin?
If you say so.
But Michael Jordan didn't come out onto the court and, you know, say, hey guys, let's play some pickup. And at the end, you know, we'll feel who did the best. You know, we'll kind of keep score. No, there's a big ass scoreboard that hangs right above the ball court and the basketball court. And, you know, at the end of the game, there's going to be a winner and a loser. Right. So keeping track of how we're doing is really, really important. So thank you. Thank you, Lenny. That's one point of it. That's a couple steps down. Before you keep score of something, what do you have to do? What did Michael Jordan do? Did he just wake up one day and he was an incredible basketball player?
Practice.
Hell yeah, he practiced. Michael Jordan didn't make the varsity basketball team his junior year. No, that's a lie. His sophomore year. I think he finally made it his junior year. He had that basketball in his hand all the time, all summer long when he didn't make the varsity team. And he got better and better and better, and then he grew a lot. But he got better and better and better, and he practiced. So, you know, I'm not going to continue to drain this. But each of you, each MTL on this call really needs to start saying, how am I going to make sure my team is trained, comfortable using it, and then using it, right? And for those of you who were here last year, you remember our checklist that we used in January? You know, the 5 things that every tax pro must know. You know, we kind of handed it out and said, here's my block. And here are the things, the training we want you to do and the follow-up that we're going to do. So this year, guys, one of the things that we're going to do very, very differently than maybe we did last year was we're going to include the ATLs in the training, in the accountability, in the communication to ensure that this isn't just falling on the shoulders of the MTL, making sure our team is prepared and practicing. Okay, approve online in my block. Click on this image. Is this a different one? It is. So let's pull that one up. I think if I close this one, move this over here. Gosh, I'm almost becoming really good at this. Okay, there we go. Okay, so let's look at this one. Review the information on my block and approve online provided. Answer the analysis questions. List out some first thoughts about what you see from your analysis of this report. So it's the same report. So take a minute and let's just look at it. And I'm not going to talk. And then we'll come back with what we just learned and talk about it. Okay, so I know we didn't give you a lot of time there, but it's just exposure and getting more comfortable with these reports. Are we better at approve online or my block?
Approve online.
Yeah. Are we, this is a trick question. Is this office doing well with approve online or are they falling below?
below?
I would say I don't know, because I don't know what my approve online goal is. I don't know if 6.8% is good. You know, we haven't really established, all we know is last year the company average in approve online was 3.7%. All we know is the company average after March 15th was 10%. So maybe we do know, actually. And all we know is that we want to use approve online more than we did last year. In our district, we were closer to 20%. So my gut would say we're probably below the average. We always want to be above the average, and we'll have to establish some goals here. Who's rocking it? Who's really, really good at approve online? To John's point, who's your superstar? Who's your superstar, guys, on approve online? I'm hoping
Terry.
maybe
Marissa?
Marissa. Heck yes, she is. She's done 100 of them. If you took Marissa out of this equation, good golly, what would happen, right? Who's a big opportunity here? There's many, but who's probably your biggest opportunity? Where's your eye going to?
Margo?
Where are you, Margo? Margo, 94.
I think it's Eleanor.
Eleanor.
Yeah.
If you look at the total returns, she's done over 400, but only 7 of those were approved online.
Yeah. You're not going to win unless you get your big heavy riders, your high riders to embrace this program. Okay, my block creation. So creating a my block account. Is anyone really hitting a home run here?
No.
9 out of 400. Do you think she's really, really asking every client, really explaining it to every client? No, those are people that, are sitting there looking around and they're like, what's that thing, my block? And they're like on their phone, self-teaching themselves.
Tom, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
So this is the My Block accounts created. Is
Yeah.
there a comparison of clients that already have the My Block created, that because a lot of this number might have to do with return customers, return clients that already have the My Block. So is that a fair?
Who's talking? I can't see you.
Jen.
Is that Jen?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great question. It is a question that I have asked many, many times, because you may have a tax pro who's done a great job establishing My Block culture, and a lot of their clients already have it. As of right now, I don't have that, but we have expressed that we do want that. But you remember, go back to the presentation, and you remember 40% of our clients, I think they said, had My Block accounts, and it tended to be our DIY, do-it-yourself clients. So there's still a huge opportunity around My Block training and understanding with the client, but it is a great call out. So guys, look, clearly we have some opportunity here around My Block. We know that we need to focus in on the training, and I would say it's pretty much equal across the board. So let's talk for 1 minute about how, and I'm going to really lean on the MTLs here. Say you have what's the first step once you've identified that you have a tax pro who's not using MyBlock. And you've already gone through the training, you've laid out your expectations, you've asked them to do the training, and you're 2 weeks into the season, and you're kind of listening, and you never hear them talk about MyBlock. They're not getting any results here. What do you do? How do you handle that situation? Any MTL, you're having troubles getting a tax pro to embrace MyBlock. What are you going to do?
First of
Some
all,
of that, I'm
Go.
sorry.
Go ahead.
Some of that is having them or listening to them, see if they understand exactly what we want them to do. I can tell you with my own personal experience as a tax pro, when I first started, I was never told this is required to include an email address or to ask the client for an email address, or what was the purpose of the email address, but maybe rephrase it not in so much of what we want out of it. We want that email address on there. It's not just to get the email address, but also what are the benefits to the client and how having the client have a MyBlock account can help them in the long run, because they can also go in and get a copy of their tax return from previous years. They don't have to come into an office. The way of communicating now with them, having the chat, it's different things, but a lot of it is having them explain to us or to the ATL what it is to them, what do they understand from what we're trying to get them to do.
I love what Lenny said there. And, she's being very transparent. She said, I wasn't doing it because I didn't know it was an expectation. Okay, this is a newer tool, right? And then what she immediately pivoted to was, why is MyBlock important? Why is it a benefit to the client, to the tax pro? What are the things, we say whiff them a lot. What's in it for me? Why would the tax pro want to use this? Why would a client want to use this? So what Lenny is saying is the first thing she's going to do, she's going to clearly set expectations with her team. And then she's going to make sure they're trained and developed, but she's going to explain the why to them to make sure that they get buy-in. And then what? And then, so Lenny, you've explained the why. What if they're just not budging? What are you going to do then?
Explain the benefits that brings to the tax pro, how they can continue to serve clients if they have MyBlock account, how they can help virtual clients, maybe not just in state but out of state, especially those clients that are theirs and they either move out of state and they still want to continue that relationship and bring even more business.
Lenny, I really don't care if my clients, if they move out of state, someone in H&R Block down in Virginia can take care of them. I don't care.
But they can still bring or get new clients into their book.
Okay. So, I think a critical step here is being very straightforward with the tax pro, right? And, you understand the training. We have the training. You understand why and what's in it for me. Why not just ask the straightforward question of them? What's stopping you from using this? Why are you not using it? John, what do you think of that?
That's what I was going to talk about. What all the tax pros need to understand, basically, H&R Block is a company with a vast amount of knowledge. Tax pros like to do taxes because there's a great deal of knowledge involved. What they need to understand is how the market is changing, how things are different in the outside world. 10 years ago, Amazon could sell you books and CDs online, and that was it. Everybody thought it was great. They said, well, what happened if we did everything? But then the new consumer is no longer going to box stores. They're going online. If you talk to anybody, like my grandkids, they say, why do people go to the store to buy that? Why don't they just buy it online? And so really the benefit is to the tax pro. Everything we're doing really is for the tax pro because the marketplace is changing.
Okay. So I get it. You keep telling me why it's so important that I do this. But you know what? Okay, John, I'll be honest with you. We're kind of doing an odd role play here, right? I'll be honest with you, John. I know all that training, and I did the Skills to Win stuff. And, you wanted me to do that badge, and I did the badge. I signed off on the badge. I get it. It's important for everyone, and there's benefits. I get it. I just don't know how to do it, man. I just don't know how to work it into the tax return.
Well, Tom, that's a great point that you bring up. Why don't we this afternoon sit down and do some role playing, and I'll be the part of the tax preparer, and you can listen to what I have to say. And we also have a great person in the office, and I'd like you to sit down and listen to one of their role plays, and so you can really understand how they approach the subject. I know you can do it, Tom. You're one of our best people in the office. I know you can do it.
It just de-escalates the tension there, right? It makes John not be just that guy looking at the report, pressing down and saying, why do you suck so much, Tom? And it turns him into John, the leader, the coach, the teacher, the supporter, right? Trevor, you're right in the middle of my screen and you're inquisitively looking up. What's going through your mind?
Yeah, I mean, I've been listening to everybody. Really good comments. What I wanted to contribute was, it's all about overcoming objections. So whether that's, as the leader to the tax pro to get the tax pro to buy in and start using MyBlock and incorporating that, or if that's for the tax pro to incorporate into their interview and get the client and overcoming objections with the client. So it would be hard for our ATLs who are new, who don't really know the tax interview process, don't really know how that all works. So what I would do is, if I was new leading an office like that, I would talk to the other tax pros, like John said, that are successful in this, and see what roadblocks they're hitting, and then how do they overcome those roadblocks. So if they're talking to the client and the client says, oh, I don't want you to have my email address, I don't feel comfortable with that. Are you going to spam me? Are you going to send me a bunch of stuff? Oh no, really? It's just to make this MyBlock account. I've used it before. People use it if they're trying to refinance their home. They can pull up all their prior tax returns. It's really just a tool for you at home to access your information whenever you want, and it makes it really simple for you. So you can set that up when you have a chance, or I can help you do it right now. So I'll just put that on here for you if that's okay. And then most of the time the clients will say, oh, sure, that makes sense. It's like a soft sell. So handling and working with the team and seeing what other tax pros are having objections and how to overcome those, maybe making it like a round robin huddle as opposed to just a one-on-one situation too.
Yeah, I'm going to move on, but I like what we're trying to give you guys a lot of tips here, right? And what Trevor is saying is teaching people how to overcome objections is really important. I learned this early on in my management career when I would come into stores in Chicago, and there was like this distraction that was always going on. You would come in with a goal and what you wanted to focus on, and before you knew it, you were focused on some little thing that was kind of not as important as everything else, not the big picture. And all your energy was going into this situation over here, we were talking about my block, but the tax pro wants to have this long drawn out conversation with you about something that impacted one client or just isn't. Yes, it's important, but it's not the focus. So really make sure that you understand that you have a goal to accomplish certain things, getting my block and Approve Online up and running in your offices. Don't let the team dictate what's important. Listen to their concerns and overcome their objectives. Boy, we're really, really off, and I've now moved my screens around. Let's go over here. Let's keep moving. Oh, here, I'm going to try this. I'm going to move all the way to the left. Boom. Okay. Okay, so let's get back on board. The client growth dashboard will be updated to include percentages for each digital component. Although the report won't be the ones we've analyzed above, you will go through the same steps of analysis to determine how your tax preparers are performing and where opportunities exist for both recognition and coaching. So what they're saying there is the reports that we just looked at, they're not going to be the same reports that we look at come season. There's literally going to be 3 or 4 total reports that we look at, and they're going to compile a lot of information together into one report, so you're not having to bounce around into different tools. Recognizing for performance. Okay, your tax preparer bill explains the benefits of My Block and Approve Online to a client who is missing documents and isn't able to miss any more work to come back and complete the return. So your tax preparer bill explains the benefits of My Block and Approve Online to a client who's missing documents and isn't able to miss any more work. And I guess he's doing a great job, you know, of really laying out My Block and Approve Online so that we can serve that client without them coming back. What stands out as a moment to recognize and why? Just based upon the little information you have there, what's good about what's going on in that conversation? Just typing great notes. A recognition, guys, doesn't have to be like, oh my God, he just like, you know, parted the seas. He's just using the tools. He's using the tools to get the client across the finish line. That should be recognized. You're doing a great job, Bill. Keep it up. How hard was that? How long did it take? Great job. I'm really happy with what I heard. That was a great example. Good job. Thank you. Not hard, right? How would you recognize this individual? Now, this is interesting. That's how I would recognize them. Great job, verbally. What are some other ways we can recognize? And I'm gonna, the ATLs guys, remember, MTLs, remember, ATLs are on day 3. They don't know a lot of these tools. Victoria, you do. But what are some other ways beyond verbal recognition that we can do?
We're going to still have the WOW board.
WOW board. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, we're doing. Lost you there for a second. The WOW board is just like a craft board in the back room where a tax pro or yourself or myself can recognize an associate. Hey, great job. Thank you for helping with that client XYZ. Okay. WOW board. Good. What else we got out there?
Block stars.
Block stars. Okay. Block stars is a digital recognition program where anyone, tax pro leader, can go in, recognize a tax pro or an individual for different things, send pictures with me, with Ron, with whoever you want to, with the broader team. So Blockstars, we'll learn more about that. Great. What else?
Email recognition.
Yeah. Emails. Yes. Not every person likes to be recognized in the same way. Understand your team. You know, if recognizing someone in a morning huddle or a big email is embarrassing to someone, that's not good recognition. You're now embarrassing them, right? So just think about that as we move as you move along. Okay, I'm in a, John, you love to recognize people. How would if someone were doing a recognition, you know, based upon, if you were recognizing someone based upon using the tools, what would you say to them?
The most important thing you can do is go up to them and say, thank you. I really appreciate what you've done. That's it. Now with Trevor, it'd be a little different because Trevor wants a Milky Way.
Gear it towards the person, right?
Yeah, every person, you need to understand the individuality. You know, I'll go back to the charts that Tom showed from the beginning. We started looking at the data. The data's great, but boy, you better understand that left-hand side. Well, those names, how individualized they are and how different they are. And your approach cannot be the same for every person. It's the same thing with recognition. You really have to understand what makes a person tick, what they appreciate.
There you go. I lost half of that because my internet went down. I am sure it was
fantastic,
wonderful. It was fantastic. Okay, so let's keep moving on. I think everyone gets the point there. Front desk associate scenario. Your receptionist, Stacy, thoroughly explains client options for tax preparation and initiates digital drop-off with a prior client who's always come into the office. However, their tax pro schedule is jammed. Okay, Stacy, receptionist, gives options to client, and they're using digital drop-off because the tax pro that they see is very, very good or bad. Is this a good thing? Jose, is this good or? Jose may be with a client. Good or bad here, guys?
I think it's a pretty good thing because it addresses a very common problem and an operational issue that goes right through the season.
Absolutely, Tucker. You know, Stacy is using all the tools at her disposal. And remember, digital drop-off gives that tax pro some time to start working on the return, right? And you know, if say the client leaves and they've done a digital drop-off and we have all their documents, and then one of the clients that they're scheduled with doesn't show up, now the tax preparer has someone is coming into the office here. Please hold.
He's a good example.
Middle of training, so don't mind me.
Okay, don't mind me. Customers first.
Okay, so yeah, that's a good, that person should be recognized. Recognize her for offering alternatives. It's no more confusing than that, guys. How would you recognize this individual? We're going to get moving. All of the ways above. Whatever makes her feel appreciated, right? It doesn't This doesn't have to be complex and hard. And now I'm going to go do this and I'm going to do that. Hey, thank you. It's not hard. What could this conversation sound like? Hey, great job, Stacy. I really like the way you did this. I think the tax pro is going to appreciate it. Great job. Way to use those digital resources. You hit one of the 4. Thank you for using one of the 4 digital solutions. You need to be saying that over and over and over to your team. The 4 digital solutions. Use one of those 4 digital solutions. What are the 4 digital solutions, right? Make it, they have to hear it like 15 times before they start to say, oh yeah, I understand what those are. What went well? Okay, we're not going to role play there. Coaching performance. It is appropriate to address individual performance concern. Is it appropriate to address individual performance concerns during huddles? What if the person in question has the most clients and returns? Okay, so answer that question. Do we address individual concerns as a group?
No.
No. Do we understand where concerns lie, and are we one team better, and do we rally around people and help? Yes.
Yes.
So, you know, I think that this is, you just have to always keep in mind the way people feel, right? And by making someone feel badly, you're not going to get the result that you may want, right? So just keep that in mind. And then I think it's interesting here. What if the person in question has the most clients and the most returns? You know, someone can fall behind because they're super, super busy. Someone can fall behind because they're not using the tools. So just really understand each situation on its own. Tax prepare scenario. Susan, a tax preparer for the past 10 years, is not offering Approve Online and has had several clients return to the office without first offering Approve Online. Susan, a tax preparer for 10 years, experienced. She's not offering Approve Online, has had several clients return to the office without first using Approve Online. What stands out as a moment to coach and why? Let's move through these quick, guys. You got the answer here. What stands out?
She needs to mention Approve Online early, I guess, as an option.
Absolutely. It's not any more
benefit for the customer not to have to come in. Saves them time.
Saves them time, health issues, all kinds of things. So these aren't trick questions. That's straightforward. Okay, holy Toledo, we're moving on to the grow model. Oh, good golly. What could this conversation sound like? I'm going to click on this grow model. Grow model is a tool that we use for coaching someone, right? So if we come over here and we look at G, goal, set the goal and purpose, define what outcome you want to discuss or achieve. So this person here is struggling with Approve Online and offering Approve Online. So the G is, let's make sure they're offering Approve Online. Reality, examine the current reality. Ask your team member to tell their story. You have to consider the associate's history and what is leading to the situation. I forget the gal's name, but we'll Stacy, I think, or Alice, I can't remember. Alice, what's going on? I noticed a lot of your clients are coming in and, you know, they're not wearing their masks. They're coming in their wheelchairs and canes. And, you know, what's going on? Did we offer Approve Online? Right? So simply getting them to start talking a little bit about why they're not offering or why they're in that situation. That's the R. Examine the current reality. Options, explore the options. It's time to explore what is possible, meaning all the many possible options to the associate has for solving the problems. Help your team member generate as many good options on their own as possible and discuss. Hey, Alice, I noticed that we've had some really good conversation around Approve Online. You've told me that you're just not comfortable with offering it. So let's talk about some things that we can do. Now, John has, really embraced Approve Online, and his journey at first was difficult as well. He didn't understand it. Would you be open to sitting down with John and, just kind of talking about his journey and how he overcame and how he got comfortable with Approve Online? And then maybe listening in to a couple of his returns and how he and when he offers Approve Online. What do you think of that? And also we could have you go through, do this training, and then we can huddle back up, say a couple days from now, right? Those would be options. And then establish the will. Your final step as a coach is to get your team member to commit to a specific action. So what will you do now? Where there's a will, there's a way. And if they look at you and say, you know what, Tom, gosh darn it, you just don't understand how complex my job is, and I'm not offering Approve Online, and it doesn't matter what you say or do. That doesn't happen very often. There's very, very few of our team members are going to push back to that degree. But as an ATL, if that were to happen, what you would want to do is involve your MTL, right? But most people, I don't think, are going to push back in that manner. So keep in mind that grow model. And, I'm a big fan of keep it simple, stupid. KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. Everything doesn't have to be written out on a document and tracked and stored and all this. Your conversations, such as using the grow model, can be on the fly, can be, can not even feel like a performance review, right? So, and then other times you may need it to be a performance review and print it out and take it a little further. Okay, so we're at 10:28. We're getting close. Front desk scenario. Bob, your front desk associate, is overheard assuming an in-person appointment on several phone calls during a shift and never suggests virtual options. What do they mean when they say assuming an in-person appointment? What does that mean?
He's not mentioning the options,
It means that basically they're basically thinking that that's the way business is done. I'm not really thinking about doing it any other way.
Yeah, absolutely. It's, I in the SOP and Me training that I conduct, and also in the virtual Essentials SOP training that you guys did yesterday, they talk about the importance of the tax pros just offering the digital options. And if we don't offer the options, then we're never going to use the digital tools, because many of our clients have no idea that there are other options out there. So, you're definitely going to want to make sure you listen. You're always listening for opportunity, and this would be one that you would want to address. I think someone may have been trying to say something. Okay. So just make sure you're listening, right? So we didn't do a lot of on-hand role play, but we do get to take a test, right? So I am going to share my screen, or continue to share my screen. And at the very beginning of our call, as we were preparing, Evan said he was having troubles with his Block Academy and he had a question about it. So I'm going to go in and we're going to dig a little bit deeper. Evan, are you still there?
Yes, I am.
You don't mind if I dig, do you?
No, it's fine.
Let's see what's going on with Evan's Block Academy. And then we'll go and we'll find that test. So Evan shows up, associate team leader. We come in here now, we're looking at Evan's transcript. Nice, clean one. We open the curriculum. And we can see he's moving along, 22%. He's completed a couple things here. So where, Evan, guide me where you were having issues.
Okay, so I was looking at new tax office associate orientation, going through the curriculum, and one screen after another screen. And some of those screens ask for you to click on a conversation bubble or click on additional information. And sometimes when you click on that, it takes you to DNA. And so then you participate and you read what's in DNA. And when I was in DNA, I couldn't find an exit to get back to the curriculum. And then I signed out and I signed back in the DNA. And then I go to the curriculum. And at the bottom where it says screen 7 of 10, what you want to do after you've completed the request is right click on the right arrow and advance to the next slide. And it was never lit up.
Okay, so I'm going to try to navigate this and recreate. I don't think there's a technical issue. I think it's just getting comfortable with the platforms, and sometimes I'm sure Trevor can. I don't know if I'll be able to. So a couple tips here. When you're in here, don't click on this. Click on this, right?
Yep.
What happens if I click on that? It goes into this like kind of weird recap of things, right? So that's not overly helpful. So when I come in here, I'm looking at that new tax office orientation, view training details. Oh, that's not very, I can't recreate it. We would have to share the screen. Trevor, do you kind of have a sense for what Evan's running into? It sounds like to me he's open and just not closing them out correctly.
There's a sense, I have a sense of it, yeah.
Okay. For sake of time, I don't want to continue to pursue that. We definitely, Evan can do that one-on-one and do a screen share so that we can see exactly what's going on. But let's navigate over here. Virtual tools, essentials. That was the self-study yesterday. Here is the experiential learning virtual tools role play. So when I click on that, it's going to come over here and you're going to see a series of things. Course materials. Okay, course materials, and then you will, I think what Evan is saying here is when you open this up, it's going to take you through to different links, different materials to review, right?
That's right.
When you close them out, either up here or in the individual window, and you're done viewing them, just close everything out. This one And then you'll come over here and say mark as complete. Once you've viewed them, you'll click on this again and it will say mark as complete. Once you mark it as complete, it will allow you to move on to this next thing here. And this is saying, I attest that I attended the training with Tom. Mark as complete, 2 seconds. And then down here, there's going to be an experiential learning test, right? So what I want you guys to do, I know we've been running quickly since Monday morning and getting access and whatnot. I want you to make sure you get back through this section here, the essentials, before you take this test. Because really, this essentials is what's going to be driving these test results. So guys, what I want to make sure each of you are shooting for here is completing week 1 training, all of this training by close of business, ideally Friday, but if you need to get through to Sunday and use the weekend, make sure that this is 100% signed off by Sunday evening. I think that's all I got. MTLs, am I missing anything? Anything you want to add here?
Hey, Tom, this is John. Can you show them on DNA where health assessment is if they're going into the office?
Excellent. Oh, I'm so glad you mentioned that. Okay. So one of the things, guys, if you're going into an office, and right now, we really need to be limiting the amount of time we're spending in an office. There are one-offs where we can come into an office, and it's not 100% off limits at this stage in the game to come in and meet with an MTL, okay? But we want to make sure we're wiping down, we're cleaning, we're doing some things before we come into the office. And one of those things is this health assessment, okay? So if I go here into DNA, and you can do this from home before your shift, sign into DNA, come to health assessment. Every tax pro, myself included, needs to do this. So here it is. Here's my name. Here's the date. Do you currently have a fever? No. I took my temperature at home this morning, 97.3. The first question that people are going to say is H&R Block providing thermometers to everyone? No. And we don't have them at the office either. Most people in this day and age have a thermometer at home. So take your temperature at home, and that's pretty straightforward. Do you currently have a sore throat, chills, muscle pain, fatigue, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, or other flu-like symptoms? No. Have you experienced any new changes in or loss of your sense or of taste or smell? Nope. In the past 14 days, have you had close contact? Close contacts mean being within 6 feet for at least 15 minutes during a 24-hour period or living in the same house with a person who's been diagnosed with COVID? No. You answer yes to that, you're not going to be allowed to come in. And if the answer to that is yes, answer yes, because we need to make sure we're protecting one another. In the past 14 days, have you been told by a healthcare provider or public health official that you've been diagnosed with or suspected of having COVID-19, or that you should self-quarantine due to potential exposure? Nope. In the past 14 days, have you traveled outside your normal daily routine and otherwise traveled internationally? We are getting more information on, like if I live in Littleton and all of a sudden I go up to Thornton to run an errand, is that out of my normal daily routine? Yeah, it's out of my normal daily routine, but I don't think we're not trying to say within Denver, there's no restrictions on going from city to city. So, I put down no, but if we'll get more clarification around that. And then I certify that I've done this, and hit submit, and done. Okay, I'm good to go. So all of us need to complete this before we come into our offices. All of our tax pros need to complete it as well. There will be Power BI reporting available to me. I don't know if it's going to be available to y'all yet, where we can see who has taken the assessment and who has not. Okay. So, and then there's going to be a QR code where a tax pro CSP or leader can use their phone to scan the QR code and complete the health self-assessment before coming into the office, proceeding to their desk. Great call out, John. Thank you. Anything else?
Tom, along those same lines, I'm assuming nothing's been put out yet about our new stay-at-home, not stay-at-home orders that just came out today.
Nope, I haven't heard. So here's the way we handle stay-at-home orders and changes at the local level. All of those changes are submitted to our legal department. And until our legal department says don't change, or until they say change, we stay the course. Okay. So what we always want to do is when there are changes that come up, we certainly can look at them, review them one-on-one, review them with me, and then we will escalate them, and then we will wait for a solution. Things are certainly changing a lot right now, guys, and this is going to be something that we deal with throughout this entire season. Be agile, be resilient, be flexible, but boy, really use that empathy muscle and do not pass judgment on people. Do not turn this into like, what, so you're not coming in? That means you just don't care about what? Care about H&R Block? Care about covering a schedule? What? Oh, you care about your health and your safety more than H&R Block? Come on, think about it, right, guys? So we got to get really in the right mindset here of doing what's best for our people and, making sure we're following safety guidelines. We have an ops team that is out, and I'm running over to ILIF after this to see the new setup of the office with the plexis and with the new signage and all of these different things. So
send pictures.
I will. I'll put them on GroupMe.
Perfect.
Okay. Anything else? Good call outs. Anything else, guys? Okay. So I'm going to hold the MTLs over on this call, and we're going to have a quick touch base. Here again, for the ATLs is your training schedule for prior ATLs. New ATLs, a little bit different. And remember, you can access what I'm showing you right now on DNA. And then for my MTLs, they have theirs down here. So I'm going to go back one more time and show you how to access this on DNA, because we showed you on day one, but some of you probably didn't have DNA at the time. Here's DNA. Hover over field learning, draw down, skills to win field leader. And then when you're in here, this one right here, you click that, that will take you to the training calendar. Okay. Okay. So thank you guys. We were within 15 minutes of the allotted time. Remember, punching in and out to Chronos. If you're behind on your punches, roll it up to your MTLs. MTLs, get it to me. and we'll make sure we get those entered. The pay periods end on Friday, so every other Friday is when we submit to payroll. But keep those punches coming in until you guys get into that routine of punching in and out on Kronos. So ATLs, thank you so much. Keep on training, keep on getting comfortable, and thank you for the great participation today. I'll talk to y'all later.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks, Tom.
Bye.
See you, Tom.
Thank you.
Bye,
Talk to you guys
everybody.
later.
Okay.